Hey guys, Pablo from CongoChops.com here, and welcome back to our Quick Tip Lesson Series, where we're releasing new tutorials each Wednesday and working on some different fills, phrases, and concepts that you can incorporate into your conga playing. Now, I just want to remind you that these lessons are geared towards players with a bit of experience. So, if you're completely new to the instrument, take a second to swing by CongoChops.com and make sure to check out our Congas 101 course before you jump in. And if you haven't already, show us some love by giving this video a like, subscribing to our channel, and turning on your notifications so you'll know when our next lesson drops. This week, we're going to work on a couple simple fills based on eighth notes using our muffle tones. And just remember that because these fills will take us away from our tumbao pattern a bit and create some tension within the groove, we should use them sparingly in our playing, generally only once in an entire song. Now, we can use these fills to help add some intensity in the up section of an arrangement, and in the case of the first two, use them to help us emphasize the downbeat of any 2, 4, or 8 bar phrase. So for this first fill, we'll use the and of 1 on the 3 side of the clave as our jumping off point. And we'll leave a rest on the first eighth note of the bar to help us start the fill with our left hand. So let's hear what that sounds like as a 4 bar phrase in 2-3 clave. This is a super simple fill that works really well to help us build up intensity and lead us into the downbeat of the following bar. And the combination of muffled tones and open tones will really help us develop our sound as we work on this slowly and focus on the clarity of each stroke. So for this next fill, all we're going to do is swap out the open tone on our main drum that we play on the and of 4 for a low drum open tone. Let's check it out. Other than using these fills to lead into any downbeat freely, a very common place to play these would be in the 4th bar of the phrase just after we move from a down section to an up section in an arrangement. Now, in the coro section of an arrangement, in a more modern context for example, it's very common to hear a small fill, phrase, or build-up played by the congas, timbales, or bongo bell in the 4 or 8 bars after we transition up from a down section. This can be something that's played by only one of the instruments, or something that's more of a call and response in which 2 or more of the instruments are involved. Now, in any case, the main idea here is that after we transition up, we'll sometimes want to reinforce that louder dynamic section by emphasizing the beginning of the following 4 or 8 bar phrase. So for this next example, let's work on playing these fills in the context that I just described. We'll play 8 bars of tumbao as if we were in the down section of an arrangement, and then we'll transition up where we'll hear a bongo bell played in the backing tracks. Now, once we're in this up section, we'll play our first fill in the 4th bar to help us build up to and emphasize the downbeat of the following bar. We'll then transition back down after 4 bars and repeat this 16 bar cycle, this time using our second fill. Let's hear what it sounds like. So this is a very common structure that we can reference to implement these fills when playing an arrangement in a modern salsa or timba context. Now, of course, we can also use these freely, but working on them in a more structured way helps us develop a better sense of how certain numbered phrases can work and feel, and also gives us some concrete options to use these fills in a way that can help us support the form of a particular arrangement. So make sure you keep an ear out for fills that serve a similar purpose as you're listening along to some of your favorite tracks. For this last example, we'll use the muffled tone figure from our first two fills as the foundation. But this time, instead of playing constant eighth notes for an entire bar after we initiate our fill, we're going to take out a couple of notes to create some more tension. So in the second half of the bar, we'll leave an eighth note rest on beat 3, play a low drum open tone, then leave another eighth note rest, an open tone on our main drum, followed by 3 more open tones in the following bar to lead us into our 2-drum tumbao pattern with the tumbadora on the 2 side of the clave. This will give us a phrase that creates some extra tension just before the downbeat, as opposed to just creating a buildup of eighth notes to lead us into the following bar. Let's check it out. So you can hear that although the first 2 beats of this fill are identical to the first 2 fills we worked on in this lesson, by adding some rest in the second half of the bar, we were able to come up with something that feels completely different. Now, this is why it's super important to experiment with all the fills we're studying here after you've taken the time to master them. Being aware of their feel and function will give you a great foundation for creating some fills of your own, and will ultimately help you build your musical language very quickly. So now let's work on this fill once every 8 bars over our modern solo Vamp 3 practice loop from congachops.com. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all 3 of these fills can work great in specific situations. The first 2 can work really well to use as a build-up within a certain structure, or just to emphasize the downbeat of any particular bar in a phrase. They can work great in a variety of situations across different styles and genres. And our last fill is something that feels somewhat busier and adds a bit more tension. Now as a result, we need to be very careful when and how we choose to use it. This fill could sound great in a modern salsa or timba context, but it might be a little out of place if we were to play it in a more traditional style like son. In any case, by listening to and analyzing different players, songs, and styles, we can start to inform the decisions that we make in regards to how and where we play all different types of fills. So, as you listen along to your favorite recordings, make sure you're always paying attention to any contributing factor that you feel may have influenced the conga player's decision to play a particular fill. Was the fill played in response to something that was played by another instrument? Was it used as a build-up within a 4/8 bar phrase? Or was it just used to add some variety to the groove in a place where the conga player found an adequate space to play it? Striving to understand the way that your favorite percussionists think will give you some insight as to when these types of fills can feel natural to play throughout the course of an arrangement, as well as generally improve the way you approach any musical situation, whether it's laying down a groove, playing through an arrangement, or even when taking a solo. If you'd like to know more about what we do on Conga Chops, and how we can help give you the concepts, exercises, and techniques that you'll need to take your playing to the next level, come check us out at congachops.com. We've got an incredible library of step-by-step courses and lessons, over 10 hours of exclusive practice loops, and an amazing community forum where you can meet and discuss with other members, as well as get one-on-one feedback on everything you're working on. Just click the link below to grab your free 7-day trial and see what it's all about. Now please don't forget to show your support for our channel by giving this video a like, leaving a comment down below as to what you'd like to see me cover next, and hitting subscribe so you can catch our new videos each week. I'll see you in the next lesson.